welcome to Purity Music. My name is Austin, and thanks for coming in and checking out the video. I thought I'd just take you through a journey that I've been on for the last couple of weeks with regards to a project, and it was for the church that I attend, which is King's Church Chatham in the UK. And feel free to check out their website, kingschurchministries.org, and their channel at King's Church Chatham, that's YouTube. And basically they wanted to do a collaborative work, a song between as many people as they could get to do it. I think they asked about 50 odd people, and it was of a song called The Blessing, which you'll find on my channel and on the YouTube channel of the church as well. And it's had quite a good reception, and it's been a song that's done the rounds for quite a few churches in the UK and around the world. It's a song by Carrie Job. A backing track was sent out to each person, and they had to sing along to it so that I couldn't hear it, so that I could get a nice clear vocal track, or as clear as I could possibly get, and then sync it all up and make it sound like they were all in the same room at the same time. We'll have a look at pieces, that went on during it, from, the point of ingesting the footage after receiving it, putting it into Adobe Premiere, and then a bit of the editing process, just a little bit of it. I'm not going to go into, it's not going to be a tutorial as such, but it'll just show you a little bit of what went into it. So this is the track that they were all sent. As you can see, The Blessing, original key B, performance track. And this track has just a single nice simple background on it. It has the words come up on the screen, and that way everybody can sing along to it. Now the only tricky part with this track is there was no click track, so people had to go by their knowledge of the song, of whether they could start it in the right place and do the right parts in the right place. Some people, their intonation is different, how long they hold a note for, say a word for, and some people harmonised, some people didn't, so because they weren't in the same room, there was no discussion beforehand of how they were going to do this. They were just sent this backing track and then they went for it. The results speak for themselves. They did fantastic. So that's the first thing I'm going to say. For those of you that are watching this, well done. That's the video that everybody received, and that's the video everybody sung to. Everybody was using different devices, mobile phones, etc. And some did it in portrait, which in case you're not sure, that's portrait. If you ever hear the word, that's landscape. Once they've done their files, all you have to do is you have your file on your phone or on your computer, laptop, etc. And you want to email it to whoever, and you put in your email, and then you put in a message if you want to, and then press transfer, so it uploads your footage, and then that's it. Really, really simple. And obviously it's a simple case of downloading the file and making sure that you put it somewhere where you know where it is. So obviously in this folder I have a folder for church and stuff, and then in here this is where I put everything. So I've got an instrument, I've got a background, I've got a couple of videos that I planned on using that I'd obtained. Instruments, if any. This track, if you've seen it already, has a flute and a guitar, as well as the backing track, which I keep in the main root of this folder. I'm going to do that. You can see everything a little bit better. You can see multiple renders. And then vocally, I did have one particular track which came through, which was a .mov, which came through and would not, you weren't able to play it on the playlist. It first came through upside down, so I had to 180 it. But no matter whenever you stopped it, it went blank. It just disappeared. So I ended up having to convert it. I tried a few different versions, and it just turns out that Adobe has problem with .mov files. Okay, so if you have a .mov file and you have any problems, top tip, use Handbrake. Simple, quick, easy. Transferred it into an M4V, which is basically an MP4 file that Apple use, amongst many others, but mostly Apple, and then went away. Most people use MP4s. Most people's phones do MP4s, so nice and simple. And then you just ingest the footage, so download it and put it into your folder. Have a nice, easy folder structure so you know what's going on, and then you're ready to move on to the next part. Okay, so this is the main project folder. If I close that up. Right, so BGDs, we've got backing, which is backgrounds. So you've got the main blessing, that's all in there, as you can see. Then you've got instruments, there's only two. Vocals, here are the raw vocal tracks. Now these have all been ingested. You can drag and drop these from your folder into these, or you can just you know, get into your thing, you can double click and then you can download it in. Nice and simple. Now, once you do that, that's where you'll be taking this footage from. Now, gonna go top tip, and this is a very, very, very good tip. When you take your footage in, check it. Because I had some issues with one particular piece of footage. It actually ended up being two, so I haven't told this story yet, which is quite funny. I had a piece of footage from one particular person who knows what they're doing when it comes to recording video. They're a professional. Now, most people, they were using their phones, you know, they plug their headphones in, they go for it, and they do it. Nice and simple. Unfortunately, this one particular person, they used a proper camera, and proper movie makers do it in 24 frames a second. That's what we watch at the movies for the most part. And when I ingested it, most phones record at either 30 or 60, mostly 30 natively, but 29.97 or 30 exactly, or 30.001 or 4, something like that, within tiny frames of each other, subframes. But when you're talking 6 frames a second slower, this one person kept going out of time, and I'm like, I know this person can sing. I've heard this person sing. I mix this person at church all the time. I know this person can sing. But this person doesn't seem to know the song. What's up with the rhythm here? Then I looked at it, and it turned out it was in 24 frames a second. Everything else is running in 30. So, and a video that's running in 30 frames or 60 frames is that's how you ingest. When you ingest the footage, it takes your first film and it put it into 30 frames a second, because that's what this particular one was. So, but it took me over an hour to work this out, to see what was going on. And in the end, I had to compensate by, I think it was something silly like 4.3 frames a second. So not completely. I mean, I know I said 6 frames, but it doesn't work quite the same. You can't just stretch it exactly, you know, because you have to sync everything up. But we'll come back to that. So yeah, so it kept going out. You know, this person was going completely out of time, and it was crazy. But got there in the end. The person that filmed it, you know, we spoke. You know, they knew exactly what I was talking about. So, but I was kind of like, oh no, at first. Then I went to do a guitar part, and I stream quite a lot. I do a lot of recorded videos, but because I do game streaming as well, obviously being a gamer, I'm used to having 60 frames a second plus. So my videos I record in 60 frames a second, I stream in 60 frames a second, so therefore when I recorded for this, I recorded my guitar in 60 frames a second, and therefore I was far too fast. So I was going far too fast. So but that would have been like 30 so frames per second. To compensate that with speed would have been ridiculous. So there was no point in doing that. So after multiple takes, and then getting that wrong and figuring it out, I then did it. You know, I then did it right. I did it again. But I had my own issues. You know, somebody came up on screen. For some reason, I was downloading somebody's footage while recording my thing. Don't do that, because whatever happened, I double clicked on it, and then once it had downloaded, there's me trying to play the solo bit. You can see it on the video. You see me start to move around, and my eyes go all over the place. And I, you know, the video came up on screen of this person. I could hear them as well in my headphones, and it was really putting me off. But the take that was the best take I did was the one where this person came up on screen. Do not download or ingest or don't do anything when you're recording. Don't do anything. I know that's obvious, but when you've got a lot on and you're trying to get it done as quick as possible, because there was a time crunch, you know, I basically had 3 days to edit what would normally take me a couple of weeks. You know, I mean, as it was, the whole project took just over 35 hours of actual work time. Not really including the ingest. There was a few hours on that, you know, to actually download the footage, but you know, to actually work on it was 35 hours. So what you can actually see here is 35 video layers, 35 audio layers. These are all 1080p or thereabouts. You know, the lowest quality one I got was 640 480. Yeah, so these pink ones here, these are all text layers. So 35 audio tracks, 35 video tracks, and 25 or so text layers. Above this pink line in the middle here, these are all the video tracks, including the text tracks. So that's any overlay text. And then down the bottom, you've got the audio tracks. Now you can, the good thing is when you cut video tracks and audio tracks, as long as they're linked like they should be. So if I click on that one there, you know, it's that here. So I clicked on that video. So if I click on this one here, you now notice that that one highlights. So they come in linked. You can drag them about and they stay linked. You can see any of these hashed off areas, if you can just about see that, they got like a zebra stripe along them. That means they're locked. I can't do anything with them. I can't touch them. That's the whole point, because that's the backing layer. You've got the backing video track, which I didn't use, although I did take away the this one here. That backing layer is actually words that I'd chroma keyed from that video. I can actually, I'll show you, I can actually turn off all of the video layers and turn on, unlock it. If I turn on the video layer and change to my right screen, there you go, you can see. So you can see that I've actually managed to chroma key out the whole video and leave just the words, but we chose not to distract or detract from the video. And there's another track under there which you can't see, which is just a basic background which I use just to kind of give myself some idea of the colour. This is what you actually ended up with here. If I open up a different version of the song, you'll see how one track is ingested, and we'll just have a little play and I'll just show you how we got to all of that. So what I've done is I've made a new file here, just to show you kind of very roughly how we've managed to achieve most of it. Now it's kind of simple. The good thing is right, so you got your source, so that's the video you're going to use, is right here. That's the output that you're going to see. This is your timeline, this is your tool tab, and this is your project folder. So you're basically going to click on that, there you go, and you're going to find videos, in this case KCM, blessing. Right, so we've got a couple of things that we want here. We want obviously the blessing main footage, which is original key B MP4, because we want the video we wanted the video for the words, but for this we actually only need the sound, but we'll use what I did. So I'll click that in there. So there's your video. Brilliant, wonderful. We then made a new bin, which is basically a folder, and I called it vocals. So click in there, and then we want to add some vocals. So let's add some vocalists. Let's say all of them. So this is just a simplified version. This is just importing the footage. So there's all our singers. So what we're going to do, as he's the leader, we're going to use Sal as Salad, Celestian David, who is the worship leader for King's Church. We're going to use him as our guinea pig. So let's go to the blessing folder. You drag it and you put it here. Boom. There you go. There's our folder. That's our song. So it's quite a long blank intro. So there you go. You can see that there. There you go. I'll turn that up a little bit. So there you go. That's our intro. That's our intro. So now the annoying thing is, because there's no click track, it's harder to sync up, especially the first one. So you're going to do that, because you want to look at this. You want to look at the waveform. All right. Now we're going to find Sal. I know he's in here somewhere. There he is, salad.mov. See. So what we're going to do is we've got to select these tracks, because we want to make sure that when we drag it in, that's exactly where it goes. So boom, we drag it in, there you go. So we got audio and video. Audio on the bottom, so there, boom, there we go. And we get a WAV file. Now everybody started at slightly different places, so it's best to move the music right over. So if we do this, so we can see the WAV file of the audio and that. So if we start there, so let's mute Sal for now. You can see Sal up there. There he is. Okay. Now if we solo Sal,
the Lord bless you.
So obviously you can hear that I can't hear the music.
Keep you.
So I have no click. I have no place of. I have no place to start. So let's. So for those of you that know the song, you know when he's supposed to come in. As you can see, he's singing all over the place at the moment. The Lord is where that's supposed to be. So we want to say that's where we start. Let's just go back. Lord is you. So let's say roughly within a frame or so of itself. Let's just move that down. Probably with 2. That's probably too much. The further in you zoom, the more minor adjustments you can make. So let's say 2. Let's go there. I'm not saying this is going to be right.
The Lord bless you and keep you and make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you.
Now, on the outside, that sounds about right. But he is at 30 frames exactly per second. And the main project folder, let's just come out. So he's definitely at 30 frames a second. The main project, good, is also at 30 frames a second. Now, that wasn't the case with everybody. So some people go slightly, ever so slightly out. But people's intonations, where they start a note, how long they carry on a note, and therefore finish a note. You can hear that within the first couple of lines. So what we would have to do now is, right, so we know we've got this section, Lord bless you and keep you, make his face shine upon you, and be gracious to you. Stop. Then you've got the next section. Now, the next section to think about is the Amen. Now, that usually comes dead on the piano strike, unlike it's boom, the Lord. So this time it's now on the piano strike. Ah, boom, Amen. Comes all together. There you go. So let's have a look at how close that is. You can see that there. So let's get that boom back there. Now, you can see that that's the start right there. If I zoom that in even more, you can see the piano, 2 stereo tracks, left and right, left and right rather, top, bottom, left, right. Now, not all phones are stereo, so Sal's phone was recording in mono, so therefore you only get a single line. But as you can see, he starts just slightly before. That's probably one subframe. If you look at this gap between here and here, it's about 1.2. 1.1 maybe. But you can see that if I run back a bit. Amen. 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 So now he does finish some of his notes short in comparison to some of the other singers. He's not used to singing without a guitar. He mostly ever sings with his guitar in front of him. I'm the same. So, you know, you could probably find that might be good enough. So let's go to this bit here. That's ba 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 ba. You can see how busy this section is because this bit here is may his favour go before you, right? So let's have a listen to how that lands. There's a little bit quieter the music. Let's just turn him up a bit. Let's try that again. His favor be upon you and 1,000 generations. See, now you've gone through 3 parts, and you could quite easily say, do you know what? That is about right. The footage is ingested, so it's been downloaded. There we go. That's our download. It's been dragged and dropped. It's been ingested. Now, on this particular one thing I haven't done in the process that I've shown you is about creating a proxy file. A proxy file is about making a a version of the file that is way smaller. So normally if it's in an MP4, that's already quite compressed and quite small as a file anyway. But in this case, you'd turn it into a cineform file, which will be way smaller, hopefully. At least it's a file size or a file type and size that Premiere likes. So you create a proxy file, makes you able to, when you've got multiple files, so I can scrub through this quite easily. When you've got 32 more tracks of audio, 34 more tracks of audio and 34 more tracks of video, it can get a little bit busy. And then doing this and seeing him move, you can see even then he judders, especially when you go backwards, he does it more. When you go forward, it's not so bad, but going backwards, I don't know, tends to struggle. You need CPU when it comes to your rendering, which is your final bit. I mean, this whole file, considering only took 15 minutes, between 15 and 20 minutes to render, which staggered me big time. But you need GPUs for doing this. Now I haven't got them, I've got them both running. They've got CUDA cores, all that kind of stuff. If you know what I'm talking about there, you know what's going on. So, you know, on the outside, that looks like it will work. So let's go to that section again after the instrumental, which is Amen. This is before the instrumental. No, this is just after. So what I actually did is when I actually put the guitar solo in and I had him with me, I actually took his first Amen from down here. I actually literally, so it was good enough. So let me let's just go back here. So we've got this section. This is the bit after the solo. So I actually took this section, and I'll actually show you. So I just cut it there, I cut it there, and then I cut that out. It didn't sing anything. We weren't singing any. None of us were singing anything back here, so didn't need any of that. Oh, so I deleted that and I deleted that. But I took his first takes of the amens here. Can't say it's going to be a perfect one this time either. Cut there and cut there. I grabbed it and I copied it. This is the thing about digital editing. If you're not into digital editing, you're still using tapes and all that, that's great, but I'm telling you, this is the future. So I usually tap along to the music as I'm doing these things, because it really helps. Helps me grab it right at the right point. Now, I think I've only got one arm in there actually. Get it wrong, maybe watch. Yes, a little bit early. A little bit early. Did that. Now the good thing is, oh no, I need it all. That's right. I can do that. Now I've got the whole thing. So this is his take from earlier, the first Amen he did. Now, I did better on the other one because I took more time over doing it. But there you go. That's just a little bit of one of the things you can do. With some people, quite a few people I had to do little bits like that just to make sure, especially afterwards, that their amens were all in correct unison. I wanted to make it sound like multiple people were singing together, but they haven't practiced together, so why try to make it perfect? I could have lined up every single line, and that would have been months and months of work. Now, different if you're doing a video, a movie, and it's the only takes you've got. You can't do any ADR. That's automatic dialogue replacement, anything like that, which we're not doing overdubbing or ADR on this. So, you know, just gives you a bit of an idea, you know, on one track what you're doing. Now, let's just say, for instance, you know, I'm going to be a little bit self-gratifying here. Let's say, right, okay, so let's grab... I'll use myself as example. As I've used Sal, I should use myself. I won't use my wife. I'll be kind. And I will put in an instrumental track. So, let's put in an instrumental track. We'll put in a guitar track. There you go. Same situation. Now, guitar's not always easy because a lot of the time the guitar looks just kind of like that. That probably goes down here actually somewhere. So right now we can't see anything. So we want to sync up with something really obvious. Now I did start the song right back at the beginning. Let's get it right. More or less. Let's have a little listen. Because I think I did the intro initially before I got Karen to do the intro. So let's have a look and see. You need to see both waveforms. Yeah. Now, I wasn't overly happy with my intonation because there's no click track and I wanted to start right at the beginning. So Karen did really, really well considering there was no click track, so she had to start wherever she started. So that's... So as you can see, I start... Now that guitar is now linked exactly to the front. Perfect, but this isn't. So that wouldn't be there. I didn't play it perfect. Far from it. More likely I'm more likely preceding it. So on the second one. So let's have a look. So let's put that there. No, see that little gap? That little tiny gap there? That is probably that. There you go. There you go. Now it's lined up. Sort of. Now I know for a fact, so this is the one thing about the take that I knew. I know for a fact that I got that last note more or less dead on. So let's move that a few frames and try again. Slightly before there. Not too bad. Self-criticism. That one's okay. Right, so I'm going to assume that if I know my own take, that most of that should be about right. So that's where so that's where we've got some singing. So if I turn Sal back on.
Lord bless you.
Okay, so there we go. So we got a bit of that. So let's go right up into this section here where things are getting a little bit more busy. Now, I think, which bit's this?
Lord bless you.
More or less the same bit. Now, this is a different section. Where is that? So this is the intro. This is the midsection. So right now I'm just calling the call and response in the may his favour go before you and upon you kind of thing. Right. So if we now go to this, which we know to be the instrumental or instrumental, let's just take that up there because you don't need to see me. So if you can see, all of this is all the same. Wah! The next lot of our men's out. Well, this was actually Nicola and Tash, two of the other singers from the worship team here, that did that section with me. But then this particular bit, may his favour go before you, that bit was completely cut out in favour, ha ha ha, no pun intended, or was it? Rubbish. For a rap that Jesse, very good friend of mine, talented guy, honestly amazing guy, you know, and he wrote his own rap for this. So obviously we had three major factors, you know, the intro with the flute, the solo added on little parts with the guitar, and the rap, which made this particular version of the blessing slightly unique. So added to rather than taking away, not a rearrangement in any way, other than our singers didn't sing all the time, So that's a little bit of the editing process. Now what I'll do is I'll just show you what I want to do. Is I just want to show you the timeline again on the full version, just so you can see what that looks like. Can't go into too much detail because, well, we'll be here for weeks. Okay, so here we are at the timeline. It was a lot. There's a lot here. Let's just make sure you've got all or as much of it as possible. Right, so you can see here, this is the full length of the timeline. Doesn't look like much, and it also doesn't look like I've just gone, oh, I'm going to choose this pattern, especially through this section here. Like I've just chosen this pattern and gone, right, here you go, I'll just cut that bit out there, cut that bit out there. But everybody's been placed on the timeline at specific points to make it easy to know what's coming up. So you'll hear the song as I play it. It may cut out because obviously I'm playing this at full resolution. So obviously I've done a small background, small black section to the start. So you'll see it as it comes in. So there's text coming up on the screen. If I stop there and go to there, you can see at the moment there's currently text on screen and Karen playing the flute, which is mirrored here.
The Lord bless
So there you go. So I'm not on the video, that's just me down the bottom, but as you can see, Nicola and Sal. And there's our background layer. Just in case you're wondering, these here are what's called TV safe margins. What they do is they allow you to go, if you're into printing or anything like that, you've heard of a bleed area. Bleed area is an area that you make sure is there just in case you need it, in case you trim around the outsides and you accidentally cut off a part of the image. So you know the absolute bare maximum, you don't go past this area for fear of losing anything here. So for instance, this is 1080p, so 1920 along the top by 1080 down the right hand side. This is a music channel, but we're doing video here. So 1920 by 1080. That's how it works. It doesn't work from that side to that side. If you've got a 50-inch TV, it works from corner to corner, left to right, or right to left, whichever way you want to go. But 1920 along the top pixels by 1080 pixels down the side. If you're 4K, you're 2048 by 3000 something. So anyway, so here is the preferred area. The inner line, the outer line is your absolute maximum. So reason why you leave this gap there, obviously if it was in print it'd be a very different matter, but it's in case you need this area here just to have background to wrap around a frame, or in case your cutter is supposed to cut along this line but it cuts slightly in or it cuts slightly out, so you make sure you've got more than you want. Now although this is 1080p, 720p or HD ready, in other words it will receive a HD signal. A 720 screen that is HD ready, not full HD. Full HD is 1080 by 1920 by 1080. A HD ready TV will take in a HD signal, even a 1080p signal. P is standing for progressive, I for the other word, which I can't remember because my brain's just gone. But yeah, interlaced. Thank you for the whoever that was that shouted that out. Thank you for telling me that. It's probably you, Max. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So if a 720p TV plays this 1080p, some of this screen will be cut off, probably at about the midway here, maybe in just a bit further. So as long as everything I want to be shown on screen is within this outer line, it will appear on screen, unless there's something seriously wrong. The inner line is the seriously safe margin. But obviously to keep things tidy, we can take that off. We don't need that on there right now. It'll actually, believe it or not, just having those lines on there, they're being rendered by the computer. They actually make the computer slow down. We also have some effects running at the moment. You can see that in the bottom here. We can mute all effects. Notice now the crop marks have gone from this. Now, that looks nice and simple, the fact that I can turn that on and off for both of them. I had to add it for every single one of them. There are copy and pastes you can do, but not everybody needs the exact same crop. All depends on what's going on. So it will run smoother as well if I do that. So, and this swaps between Proxy and the full version of the footage. We're gonna stay at full version because it looks better on screen as opposed to running this basically down this. So if I play this now, that quality now has changed dramatically. So we'll leave that there. So this section here, you can actually hear a bit of what I was saying with regards to people's syncopation, their ability to be in intonation with each other. So starting a word at the same time, singing it for the same length and stopping. You'll notice here it's ever so slightly different. John up there in the top right, Rowena in the bottom left there. John holds the word peace for a bit longer. And then the CE comes in a little bit later. So that's people's intonation is very, very different. So you can't sync everybody the same way. Everybody's got to be individual. Once you've got one starting waveform and go, that's when somebody starts singing that, it's not the same for everybody. So you can see that. So that's not the same. Turn is about the same. Face, more or less the same, but they come in slightly different. Alright, and this section here, and that is the one that is the most similar between these two that are singing. John is our drummer. So you can see how close. There's a little bit before, which is probably part breath. You see that's the S just there. So yeah, so not everybody sings at the same time. So you've got 3 on this one. Again, completely different, isn't it? Completely different intonation. There. That's the main start of that one. Completely different intonation. But some of that is down to the frames per second as well. So it's not all down to the person singing. But if you go down to this section here, this is the first sets of our amens. Right? They're never, ever exactly the same. But they're within frames. I mean, once you come to here and you listen to it. Amen. Amen. So as you can see, you know, there's lots to do, and these sections here, they're different sets of singers at any time. So it looks like I've just chosen a pattern and gone with that, which is not the case. So you look, this is the group of singers that are doing "May His Favour be upon you for 1,000 generations," and then we choose another one, another set of singers. So we have different sets of people. Then you've got here another set. You know, and every now and then I change the positions of some of them because it looks really good. Then you've got first sets of amen. So you've got X amount of people. And then the second time you've got a different set of people, but you've got the major harmonies in the second set. But there's more people as well, including the family over here. And then you got "May His Favour be upon you for 1,000 generations." Yeah, and your families. So loads of people all at a time. So we've got major harmonies. And then at this point, we bring all of the singers, everybody that's singing. Can you guess who's missing? Because this is now everybody. And then obviously at this point here, just at the top right here, the one person that I cut out is Rowena. Because like I say, she's going to be doing a piece in a minute. And then there's a little bit of me and Rowena doing that. Then the guitar solo. Me and Salad. Then the still guitar solo. And then, there you go. And then Jesse doing his rap. Then I swapped him over to the other side, highlighting the main words, which are all set. Each one of these are separate text layers. And then the whole section at the end with everybody. Everybody's in at all points, including the guitar. So there's no everybody that sent me footage made it on. So this is everybody now. And then, you know, we have a slow coming to the end. And Mark, who was the last one in with his footage, just in case he sees this, usually with the last one in, you're going to be the last one out. That's the way it works. Amen. go and have a look at the video. This has probably been already far too long and far too complicated. That just gives you a little bit of an idea of what goes into a project of this kind of size. There are so many finer points I didn't go into. But on this channel, especially, it's more regarding audio. There will be tuitions on mixing, there will be tuitional stuff on editing and some, and please feel free, ask questions in the comment section, drop me a message, any ideas for videos that you have particularly, let me know. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.